Okay, today we have Morris Jackson here. Morris Jackson has rebuilt these stamp mills. Basically, this is a whole building, a whole operation of how they crush the ore from the large rock out of the mine down to removing the gold towards the end of the process. What we have here is a 1/12 scale model of a mill building. It has 6 levels. Those levels were used, generally these buildings were built on the side of a mountain, and they'd use gravity to move the material from one process to the next. You can see there's a number of belts and pulleys used in this process. These were used to run the various equipment that's in there. This was originally run by a steam engine. Over the years they've gone from steam to gasoline to electric and used different types of motive force, but the bottom line is the power they used would power all these pulleys, these sets of pulleys that are in the building, and they would run the equipment. Starting at the top we had an ore crusher, then we have the stamp mill, and down below we have the shaker tables. All those devices are run off of one power supply through a pulley system. Okay, we have the 2 5 stamp mills or 10 stamp mill that the material we just talked about goes in the back of the mortar boxes and gets crushed by those stamps. Those stamps weigh 1,000 pounds a piece, and they rotate. The mill rotates at 60 RPM or 120 stamps per minute. The material goes through the crusher, through the stamp mill, and when it gets down to 40 mesh, it's distributed in front of the mill on those tables that are copper plates coated with mercury. The gold sticks to the mercury, and the larger gold material and the other material ends up in the sump in the front, ends up going down to the shaker tables or whiffly tables. These tables, what they did was they took and removed another 20% of the gold out of the ore. How they did that was that you can see that wheel there, and shake the table back and forth, and would shake the lighter material would go off to the side of the table, and the heavier material, the heavies, would come off the front of the table and be collected in a container, which we would go ahead and process it further. This whole operation took about 80% of the gold out of it, and basically they had another 20% left. The mill would take about 60%, shaker tables take another 20%, and they'd have another 20% that was left in there. Okay, right now we're going to go ahead and start the mill up and give you a sound, hear what it sounds like. Remember, this is run off of one power supply, all the equipment. As you can see, all the components work. The crusher, the stamp mill, and the shaker tables. Basically, this is how the process worked back in the 1880s, late 1800s.